Hi everyone, I hope you're enjoying this film. I'm having difficulty making it right now because I'm looking right down the barrel.
Stop!
Okay, perfect driving position.
She simply is. And we are all better for it. And we are all the better for it. And we are all better for it.
Damn it, I'm not that cool.
Just a very slight movement. Yeah, not even that much. Just a very. That's...
Are you hungry? Yeah, I need a
How's the circulation?
It's too early to tell.
Sorry. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. Sorry.
Yes, sorry.
Once again, sorry, I forgot the words.
All right, let me at least make one thing start to make sense. The name is Doctor Stephen Strange. Don't know what my hand's doing, sorry.
Right. Yeah, we're struggling with a lot of things here.
I haven't even mentioned the fucking thing, a thing of
What would the bread taught me?
That would be bad.
I told you not because of you.
Hello, Tiny. Oh, Mama. Hello.
So wait, you've figured out a way you've figured out a way to regenerate? No.
But every miracle, every medical miracle, perpetuated the illusion that, inflated your ego, perpetuated the delusion that you can it, what do I say?
The mirror zone. What? No, dimension. The mirror zone. No, the parking zone. You can't park here.
Your heart just stopped. No. I am the doctor, and you are the patient. I did. Sorry.
Prematurely, we need to prep him for a cranial
I call it the strange tech policy.
At least something's named after me.
Palmer's strange technique.
Romano, I've come to bargain. Yeah.
I can't remember.
action.
The dream is over.
Hello, I'm Scott Derrickson, the director of Doctor Strange. Allow me to welcome you to the mystical side of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This journey was a special one for me and everyone involved in the film, and let me say that seeing the film come to life over the last 2 years has been a dream come true for myself and everyone here at Marvel Studios. The opportunity to explore all of these amazing characters has been an incredible honor, and getting to work with the immensely talented cast that we assembled on this film has been equally thrilling. Our goal was to create a film that would not only welcome Stephen Strange into the Marvel Cinematic Universe and introduce him to a whole new audience, but also provide a mind-bending experience for those of you who, like me, have been longing to see Doctor Strange make his cinematic debut ever since the great Stan Lee and Steve Ditko first brought him to life in the comics many years ago. So sit back, enjoy, open your mind, and forget everything you think you know. I sincerely hope you enjoy the ride as much as we did making it.
You think you know how the world works, Doctor Strange? What if I told you the reality you know is one of many?
We wanted to very boldly crash into the Marvel mystical universe.
I do not believe in fairy tales about chakras or the power of belief.
Forget everything you think you know.
The journey of Stephen Strange is uniquely awesome.
It's different. It feels like a huge experimental film.
It's utterly inspiring. This film is just mind-blowing.
It's everything we ever dreamt of when we were kids.
Who are you in this vast multiverse, Mr. Strange?
What we've seen happen within the Marvel Universe is this ever-expanding coterie of superheroes blossoming out into the more surreal, so that you can have otherworldly destruction happening in this world's space and time. And it's just about to explode into other dimensions.
Open your eye.
The stories in Marvel films are dealing with big questions. Who am I? What is the universe? Good and evil. So for us to be in one of the films is not only a childhood dream, it's also an adult dream.
To be able to play off Tilda Swinton, Mads Mikkelsen, Rachel McAdams, and Chiwetel, it's really fantastic.
Scott has an extreme love for Marvel, but also a clear vision of what he wanted to do with Doctor Strange.
The cloak of levitation. It came to you.
The cloak is a huge challenge because it has to do so many things. It needs to move, it needs to behave, it needs to be extraordinary.
We are in some pretty incredible locations that not only has Marvel never shot in before, but a lot of movies haven't shot in before.
There's no place on the planet like Kathmandu.
The production design of it is really staggering. Every single set is a reminder of how big a universe you're part of.
The big challenge was scale. We created this 600-foot set.
We're crafting some really mind-trippy, out-there sort of sequences that I think approach action in really cool new ways.
What you're seeing is kind of a blend of 3 or 4 martial arts.
Benedict threw himself into this role, and he went through months of physical training to learn how to fight and how to move.
When this opportunity came up, I thought, I want to do this movie.
We never want to repeat ourselves at Marvel, so the opportunity to do something totally new with an entirely new world, we just couldn't resist.
Doctor Strange has always been my favorite comic book character in all of comics. I connect to that character because of the seriousness that the comic gave to the idea of mysticism and to the idea that the universe is a profoundly mysterious place.
Action!
What are these?
Those books are far too advanced for anyone other than the Sorcerer Supreme.
I'm excited about showing audiences a character who moves from skepticism to mysticism.
Stephen Strange was created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko in the heart of the 60s when all these classic, more well-known characters were being created. What's unique about Stephen Strange in the Marvel Universe is that he exists in the corner of magic and the mystic arts. He's the sorcerer in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
This superhero came out of a context in the 60s of a bleed between Western science and logic and Eastern mysticism. My fear initially was, how would this concept work in the 21st century? It made sense to make sure to steer it towards how he's introduced to what he becomes. I was thrilled at where he began and where he got to in this script. It was mainly the character arc and the journey he goes on in the film that drew me to the material.
It's part of what I love about Doctor Strange. You know, if you don't know him as the arrogant, wealthy man of hubris that he was, you really can't appreciate the man he becomes after the scene when we see him crash.
Billy, can you send me the... Got it.
Scott literally said, this needs to be the greatest car crash in cinema history. It took 8 different Lamborghinis. It involved shooting on 2 continents, all to achieve this very spectacular crash that, at the moment when it happens, has to feel like this visceral jolt of energy.
I was in a Lamborghini, cut in half, being turned upside down, trapped inside the carcass of the car as the water was rising into it, with a camera going underneath to capture me upside down. I was hard work, but it was good fun.
You need a spectacular actor. And the fact that Benedict Cumberbatch is as enthusiastic as any actor that has ever joined our universe to portray this character is huge for us.
Yeah, perfect. It immediately made sense to me, this material. There are moments in Carmitage when he's getting introduced to weapons.
This is the staff of the living tribunal.
And he's very cynical about the whole thing, as a modern audience might be.
There are many relics. The wand of a tomb, the vaulting boots of Valtor.
They just roll off the tongue, don't they? Then he just goes on this massive journey of self-discovery, and he has to suffer humility after humility. And that really fascinated me. That was the big draw.
Benedict was always our first choice for the role.
I heard about this project through sort of vague interest in me.
I flew to England to meet with him. He was the first actor I met with, and after that meeting, we're like, let's do it.
Action.
We found out based on our shooting schedule, Benedict had to go do Hamlet, and it wasn't going to work out.
So they had to look elsewhere.
Eventually, it became clear that it needed to be Benedict.
And that's when we went back to them and said, okay, what would it take? When do you wrap on that? And we pushed our entire shooting and release schedule 6 months to wait for Benedict. He was literally on stage for Hamlet, and then got on a plane 36 hours later and is Doctor Strange shooting in Nepal. It takes a certain type of actor with a certain type of commitment to do that, and that shone through on every single day he was on set.
I studied some neurosurgery. I obviously studied the procedures that we perform in the film. Cranial nerves intact. We had on-hand advice from a very well-reputed neurosurgeon to talk about instrumentation, to talk about everything from scrubbing in to cauterizing a wound. I mean, really mind-blowing stuff.
To have that level of intellect and have it combined with depth of feeling the way that he has, you just don't get that very often.
Benedict displays such fierce intelligence, which makes perfect sense for a world-renowned neurosurgeon. And he has a very heroic quality to him.
Action.
It's brilliant. The stunts, the training, the work in front of green screen. It's been a real adventure.
I think he brings a real heart to the character that he needs eventually.
There's one specific moment in the film, which is when the Ancient One says,
"It's not about you."
And the penny drops for the first time. His realization that he has a mission beyond his own self-interest is the true turning point for people, and to sort of lean in and sympathize with him.
He is a character who is perpetually evolving, reckoning with both himself and with the extraordinary things that he is uncovering in a way that we haven't seen in the Marvel Universe yet.
It is strange in a way, I suppose, no pun intended, that he's flown under the radar until now within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because he is a very big presence in the original comics.
You're in a mirror dimension. Who's laughing now?
I admire people having the courage to expand their minds into seeing that the world is more than what they thought it was. That's the journey of Stephen Strange.
It's the right moment now for him to be the character that we can get introduced to open up that chapter of the Marvel Universe.
With the new studio setup, the way things work now, is there more of an opportunity for a crossover here and there with Marvel characters in the movies?
I think if you listen to the characters that are working on currently and you put them all together, there's no coincidence that may someday equal the Avengers. I think just having that possibility on the horizon is something that excites all of us.
Phase 3 is the culmination of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe as started in May of 2008 with the release of Iron Man 1. And it really is an unprecedented culmination of a series of films interlinked together, which at the time had never been done before. And for us, the important thing is making it all come together. We've been planning this for years and years and years.
What makes our movies such a rich thing to go back to and enjoy is that they're real characters, and everything that's happened to these characters has been part of their history. Over many, many years. Over life and death. It's a real tapestry of real people.
There is the street level narratives of the Marvel universe that we've seen. There's the cosmic level, which Thor and Guardians and the Avengers have taken us to. But there always is a very important supernatural side to the Marvel comics. And Doctor Strange is our perfect entry point into that.
The MCU is humongous, you know, there's 6,000 characters, so we wanted to include the mystical arts.
Strange is a very natural bridge between what we know of perceivable reality and something well beyond that.
It's a whole new world. We're shining our light into a previously unexposed corner of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That just allows us to introduce all sorts of new characters and really play in a whole different type of sandbox.
Now we're at the stage where this universe, even within our world, has got quite crowded and it's just about to explode into other dimensions. You've had Thanos, who's already sort of rumbled in the background a little bit, and I think it's kind of the right moment now to open up that chapter of the Marvel Universe.
As we are heading into development, pre-production, and production of all the upcoming Phase 3 films, James Gunn's delivered his Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Guardians is all about continuing to take audiences out to the furthest edges of the Marvel Universe.
I think the primary story is really about learning that thing that we think we want, that we're going to get outside of ourselves and outside of the relationships we have, has been there all along.
Finding these characters bouncing off each other in new ways based on where we left them at the end of the last movie is part of the fun of finding them in Guardians 2.
For me, it's really just been an absolute pure joy.
After Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, as we continue to grow and expand the cinematic universe, we head towards Thor Ragnarok.
Thor starts discovering this impending evil. That character's name is Helen. She's played by Cate Blanchett.
I wanted to take people on an adventure that keeps people laughing along the way, but also has those, the spectacle.
The Thor-Hulk relationship is one that's incredible. It's gonna have some of the wildest, craziest, most amazing action you've ever seen in the MCU.
Black Panther is a hugely important Marvel character, hugely important in the history of comics, and it felt like the best way to introduce him was within Captain America: Civil War.
When there was an opportunity in the Civil War development process where we needed another character, he was the one and only person on the list. Introducing Black Panther was really exciting for us and sort of fortified our belief that he deserved his own standalone movie.
We put together a cast and a crew among the best that we've ever assembled, led by our director, Ryan Coogler.
Panther, he kind of exists in a gray area, and in addition to being a soldier, he has a more important job, which is a politician. He's constantly making these choices in the fog of politics and in the fog of war.
We deal with royalty, we deal with royal families, but unlike our other films, it's right here on Earth. We get to explore different cultures and different aspects of our world.
for Black Panther and the world of Wakanda. It's finding those real-life touchstones that we think gives the film an integrity, yet still making it something that you've never seen before.
And then that leads us to Infinity War, the third Avengers film. It is a very human story, even with this spectacle, even with all the players involved.
The most exciting part of working on these next two Avengers films is the incredible roster of well-developed characters that we have at our disposal.
There's a simplicity of story that we're leaning into. Our writers, Chris Marcus and Steve McFeely, who've done amazing work for us in the past, Joe and Anthony Russo, who are taking everything they learned from Winter Soldier and everything they learned from Civil War. This is the team that is most equipped to handle this many characters and still making it feel like what it is, a great three-act piece of storytelling.
You look at it and you say, wow, it's just a tapestry. They're all woven. This all comes together, and it opens up the possibilities.
One of the things that is most exciting about Avengers Infinity War is that Thanos shows us why he is the biggest, the best, the baddest villain that we've ever had, and the most frightening villain that the Avengers have ever faced.
His goal is to rebalance the universe as he sees it. So when he figures out that the Infinity Stones could do this for him in the snap of a finger, that becomes his main goal.
Despite all the new bells and whistles and all the new people that want to come play and all the excitement and the actors that want to do it and everything else, the fundamental way that we make a movie, I don't think has changed. The room that we sit in, the cards on the walls, the arguments we have, the laughs that we have, the disagreements that we have, and being honest about, does this work? Is this good for the character? Does it give me a good feeling when I watch it? And that's all that really matters. In Avengers movies, in some of the Galactic movies, in some movies that weren't Avengers films, like Ant-Man, everything has kind of been building to this point that is Avengers Infinity War.
Because of what Marvel is, because of what they have done over the last 10 years, these next two Avengers films will be an event like no one has ever seen on film before.
Were dripping with blood and gore. And then I removed the villain's head from his body. His guts flew everywhere. And of course, I ate his eyeballs so he could never find his way back to the halls of Valhalla.
I guess I'm just taking a break. This is very different, but life is about new experiences. And this certainly is one of them. Anyway, I ended up here in Australia and moved in with Daryl.
Hello.
We split the rent, of course, divide the duties, clean. Daryl cleans the toilet mainly, because you do most of the damage in there. I'm a prince from another world, and I'm used to giant, shiny, golden castles, so this is kind of ridiculous in a lot of ways, but, I'm managing.
Thor's great. He's kind, he's very strong. He has a particular point of view, but there's another side, which I understand it can be frustrating. Connect 4. He's massively out of touch. It's just things like this. He destroyed Connect 4, and this has been in the family for quite a while, and I can't tell him that sort of stuff. I was here cleaning it up. He just doesn't seem to have a concept of time. I say bills are due fortnightly, and he really deals with things in centuries, I guess. He's often said, I'll get to it next century. I can't pay rent with these things. One's a pumpkin, and these Asgardian coins, they're not worth anything.
In Asgard, these coins are worth a gazillion human dollars, okay? There's a gazillion, you're rich. There's a gazillion. Gazillion.
No one will exchange these.
Go to the market, set up a store,
Yeah.
and write
Yeah.
Asgardian ware. Previously owned by Thor. I'm a celebrity that will sell like hotcakes.
You might need to think about getting a job.
Get a job? Serious?
Yeah.
I have a job. Do you know what my job is? I save the planet.
Yeah.
Maybe you should get a job.
I have a job.
Really? Hitting the machine with the words that come out of it. Oh, this is knowledge. Knowledge is power. No, it's not. Knowledge is not power. That's power. The brain is a muscle. And that's a muscle. And that's a muscle. And they are all muscles. This is all muscle. So I am covered in brains. And I have more brains than you.
So do you think maybe we could just think
I
about...
think we need a servant.
I don't think we can get a servant.
We should get a servant.
I don't think we
it's
can get a
settled.
servant.
We're getting a servant.
That came out of a conversation about me saying, could you pay some rent? And then his next thought is, I'll get a servant. I don't see how those two things are connected.
So, Shane, there's nothing too hard, really. The usual stuff, polishing this guy here, cleaning my armor. After adventures and battles, there'll be blood and sweat and grime on them. Sharpening my swords, writing of my legendary tales. But really, Shane, the main thing you'll be doing as my servant is to get a job and to pay my rent. And you'll be paid in Asgardian gold. How does that sound? Excellent. Oh, you're hired. Now, bring me some more mead.
He's essentially an illegal alien. I'm dreading the knock on the door and his reaction to, where's your passport?
We were all the best of friends, and then they had a disagreement, stopped talking, and there was a fight. But not one of them bothered to call me. And that's just one thing that you'll have to learn about life. That friendship is not forever. That nothing lasts. Nothing.
Earth is a place that I've come to love. And I feel it's a second home, and I'm very protective of the humans because they're so helpless and ridiculous.
Let's go to bed. It's just me and Daryl now. We don't need anybody else. Just best friends forever. We'll have to get you an outfit.
Yeah.
Maybe a cape or something.
Yeah, well.
What about this? Do you want to try hold that? As if.
We have a cast that I think has more awards and more award nominations than any single cast we've ever put together. And the fact that they're all willing to suit up, to step into this very trippy world with us is a testament to both our director, Scott Derrickson, and the source material that it comes from.
It's utterly inspiring, the cast of this film. To be able to play off Tilda Swinton, Mads Mikkelsen, Rachel McAdams, and Chiwetel, it's really fantastic.
I think Marvel, they're always casting rocking people, to be honest.
To be part of the Marvel Universe is really exciting. You get to work with the best of the best in the world. Where are you going?
Greenwich Village, and the quickest way back there is through a dimensional gateway that I open up in the mop closet.
Rachel plays Dr. Christine Palmer, and we knew we needed to cast someone that could go toe-to-toe with Stephen Strange.
I have a very strict rule against dating colleagues.
Oh, really?
I call it the Strange policy.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad something's named after me.
An actress that could show, via the way she sees him, the better man that he could be. And that takes an actress of incredible skill and incredible weight.
I don't understand what's happening.
I read a few of the comics. Scott, the director, pointed me towards The Oath. In particular, he thought that would be the most helpful for my character. There's definitely a pressure to get close to people's impression of what the character is. I think I'm fortunate in that she's kind of an amalgamation of a few women in the comics and Scott's own invention. For me, it was just sort of interesting to get to know where my character might, who knows, be headed.
Open your eye.
One of the biggest challenges, casting-wise, was the Ancient One. The Ancient One is a kind of a cliche by now. You know, the idea of the wizened old man on the hill.
I don't know that I've ever seen a version where the Ancient One's been not an ancient Tibetan man.
Thank you, Ancient One, for seeing me.
You're very welcome.
And yet, the Ancient One is so critical to the Doctor Strange mythology, you have to have the Ancient One.
Teach me.
No.
When you start to think about ethereal and enigmatic and ancient and warm and intelligent, Tilda Swinton just popped right to the top of our minds. And to her credit, she was down. She understood what we were going for, how it could be different, what she could bring to a role like this. She said, yeah, I'm in. Let's flip this on its head and try to come at it from a new way.
I'm generally of the belief that gender is in the eye of the beholder, and it's of less importance to the person being beheld than the person looking, very often. And this is a case in which that's true. We didn't want to pin it down to any specific Buddhism, specific gender. We wanted to free it up from any previous interpretation.
While heroes like the Avengers protect the world from physical dangers, we sorcerers safeguard it against more mystical threats.
Benedict Wong, I've made a few films with now, and I'm always very, very thrilled to see Benedict.
Mr. Strange.
Stephen, please. And you are?
Wow.
Wow.
It's weird having two Benedicts on a movie. That's rare.
Just one? Like Adele?
We knew we needed an actor who had that intellect and who had knowledge burning inside him. You felt like wherever he walked, he was carrying the history of this entire place with him.
During the 60s, Wong came across like a manservant sidekick. With our version, we're happily updating this for a modern audience.
No one steps foot in this sanctum. No one.
You're looking for Kamar-Taj.
When it came to casting Mordo, I just wanted to find an actor who could work at the deep levels that an actor like Benedict works at. As soon as Chiwetel came up, we all wanted him. He's so good and so complicated.
I think the way that he is constructed is somebody who's very loyal, very engaged, very powerful, and is a great defender of ideas. And that's something that's great to play, especially when some of those things get challenged by an outsider.
He's gone. Even Strange has left you and surrendered to his power.
In the comics, Mordo is to Doctor Strange what Moriarty is to Sherlock Holmes, the highly skilled, equal adversary. He has tremendous capabilities as a sorcerer.
Fight like your life depended on it!
Along with the qualities that draw him into evil.
Because one day, it may.
What I told Chiwetel was that I needed him to help me construct the character in such a way that we're not writing a villain. We're writing a character who does what he believes is right.
I cannot defeat them alone.
There's love and affection and respect there amongst these two men who would ultimately be warriors.
You still think there will be no consequences, Strange? No price to pay?
But in one of the greatest Marvel storylines of all time, Mordo betrays Strange. There's a fall.
The bill comes due. I will follow this path no longer.
And watching that fall is really heartbreaking and really fun to bring to the screen.
Master Caecilius, that ritual will bring you only sorrow.
Mads Mikkelsen is also in the film. I feel like he's so different in everything that he does that he has a way of very subtly creating completely different internal universes for the characters that he plays.
You don't know how to use that, do you?
Mads Mikkelsen is a one-of-a-kind actor. He has an incredible presence, an incredible look, completely unique to himself. I can't think of anyone else in the history of cinema that is quite like Mads.
Action!
Mads Mikkelsen, he has brought a depth and dimension to his character. When you have an actor who can portray complexities that you understand are not just motivated by good and bad, it's something we as an audience can relate to a little bit more and understand a little bit more.
Caecilius is caught up on the wrong side of the river. He believes if he's going that way, the world will be much more beautiful and all his questions will be answered eventually.
This world doesn't have to die, Doctor. This world can take its rightful place alongside so many others as part of the one. The great and beautiful one. We can all live forever.
Most of us, we grew up with Marvel, right? And most of us see Marvel as a fantastic piece of art. So for us to be in one of the films is not only a childhood dream, it's also an adult dream. Because the stories are dealing with big questions. You know, who am I? What is the universe? Good and evil.
And action!
Just a little.
Being able to work with all those amazing actors just raises the stakes and allows the audience to suspend their disbelief.
One of the things that I think is great about Marvel movies is that you find yourself rooting for characters because you understand them. And it's not just that they are superheroes. You like them because of who they are, not sort of what they are.
You know, these things are fun enough in themselves, but when you've got a cast like that to play with, it's just bliss.
I think we're lucky to be the next band on the roster, and we're all so psyched to be a part of it.
Oh, it's funny.
Doctor Strange is a movie we've wanted to make for a long time. It's been in the back of our minds really since Iron Man 1. So when we finally did say, we're making this movie, let's find the right filmmaker for it, there was a lot of people that came a-knocking. And so I ended up meeting a lot of people and a lot of talented people and a lot of great things to say. And Scott was among them, and he came after this with a passion and an excitement that we want to see in the filmmakers that we hire.
Scott Derrickson has a great body of work, and like Joan Anthony Russo, like Joss Whedon, like Jon Favreau, like Kenneth Branagh, the best of the filmmakers we've worked with haven't necessarily done a film like the one we're asking them to do now, but they have done enough that they've shown they're incredibly talented. They have unique visions and a love of film, and a love of pushing the boundaries of what a movie can be. When you look at Scott's work going back to the earliest days to his most recent films, he is always playing with genre. He's always subverting that genre. Sometimes he dives right into it. Sometimes he twists it. That's exactly what we love to do at Marvel. He was the guy to lead us through this journey of Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange has always been my favorite comic book character, not just in the Marvel universe, but in all of comics. Primarily, I think, because of the seriousness and gravity that the comic gave to the idea of mysticism. To be able to explore other dimensions and bring other dimensions into the cinema for audiences to experience. I mean, my God, what could be greater than that? And then when you look at your hands, it's straight, yeah, like that.
Okay, let's shoot this, guys. 21 bacon, take one.
It's a well-oiled machine here. I mean, it doesn't ever feel like it's big. He's somehow made the set feel quite intimate. And I think his enthusiasm and passion for the Doctor Strange world is very evident.
I think Scott's one of the main reasons that this project attracted such a brilliantly talented cast. He's great on process. He's really good on going through great volume of detail about characterization. You really feel very safe in his hands about who you're playing and why you're playing what you're playing.
That's great. That looks really cool.
And all those kind of acting questions are very easy to talk to him about.
Whatever feels natural, we'll move to you. Okay. So don't worry about the camera in terms of just if there's a version of continuing to move that feels natural. Yeah.
He's very open to this sort of minutia that can sort of drive some directors mad, even within having to work on this extraordinary kind of epic visual scale and these incredibly complex and big ideas.
Freeze for a moment, and then I would drag it out slowly, and then you just slowly start to recoil from back away from him, and that gives us a nice cover.
A lot of the movie that we're making to this day were based out of those early conversations and ideas from Scott saying, you know what we should do? We should do this. And in ways that kind of cracked the story open for us, where we're like, oh, it took things that we were daunted by that we knew would be tough to necessarily crack and figure out how to update for modern audiences and sort of showed us the way. And that gave us a lot of confidence that not only do you have a lot of excitement and passion and enthusiasm for the project, you also had a ton of great ideas.
He's really infused it with a lot of humor and light touches as well. I mean, there's lots of explosions and fun things for the kids too, but I think it's got a maturity to it.
Teach me.
I get up every morning and I can't believe they're letting me do the things we're gonna do in this movie. Cut. Awesome. It's an attempt to create not only a broader universe for Marvel characters and Doctor Strange himself to inhabit, but it really is an attempt to push the ball forward when it comes to what audiences can expect to enjoy from tentpole movies. That's an ambitious goal, but that's what we're doing.
It's a mind-blowingly beautiful film. That's in no small part thanks to the clothing and the extraordinary construction of these beautiful sets.
This is my 5th film with Marvel, so I could be called a Marvel veteran. And obviously this one was attractive. It's a new story, new character. I like developing new worlds.
Clothes tell a story from this very slick man at the beginning. He's very well kept, and after what happens to him, he starts to let himself go.
This is useless.
There aren't so many buttons because of the shake in the hands. The clothes get simpler on the outside.
In the comic book, Strange has the Strange symbol on his chest. One of the big challenges was how to incorporate that without making him look like I've got the T-shirt and I'm here. We decided that within the camouflage, the disciples would have motifs which are embroidered on their clothes.
These are stunt versions of our Eye of Agamotto. They're soft rubber and they've also been lit.
There's various versions of the eye, so there's a closed, there's some where the hands are in different positions. This eye in particular has got lights behind it.
The cloak is a huge challenge because it has to do so many things. It needs to move, it needs to behave, it needs to be extraordinary.
The cloak of levitation. It came to you.
We've made a kind of the walking, talking, the full glory cloak. We've made an action cloak. We obviously then, when we use wire work, we have to make a cloak that doesn't foul on the wires. So there are different weights, different lengths, different shapes, different collars, all kinds of things.
The production design of it is really staggering. It's a sort of 360 experience, and I love that.
It's probably one of the bigger challenges for the Marvel Universe in terms of the places that we go to with Stephen Strange's journey. Places you've never been before, places that are earthbound, places that are not earthbound.
And what's fun is taking a location and making it a character in the film. Charles Wood, our production designer, who did Thor: The Dark World for us, The Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers: Age of Ultron, he is making this film feel different and look different from any of the films that have come before.
It was so out there, this film. Marvel do encourage you to go as far as you possibly can and then quite a lot further. Kathmandu, in Nepal, you know, it's the most extraordinary place I've ever been to.
We had 4 days shooting for real in Kathmandu, and then we built Kathmandu on the stage.
The recreation of Kathmandu here was so extraordinary. We had Nepali extras who were going, my cousin lives above that shop. Literally, they'd recreated a street and there were people who had relatives who lived in that street.
You're looking for Kamataj.
We brought with us the smell of incense. It was so evocative. You felt that you were back there. You could have just blinked and been back in Kathmandu.
Sure you got the right one. It's just, that one seems a little more Kamataj-y.
Kathmandu is a world of natural colour. Red oxide, yellow ochre, antiquity. That influenced the world of the Kamataj. Scott always said to me he wanted a film that was very rich, dark, and luminous.
We harness energy.
Luminous, it was a lovely word because we tried to introduce colour and light and reflection stuff into a lot of these kind of dreamy worlds.
We're painting the views out of the windows to match the existing location. I think we're probably one of the few crafts in this industry that we still work as we would have done 100 years ago.
And then you go to a more modern world. You have the New York Sanctum.
The Sanctum Sanctorum is right there on Bleecker Street in Greenwich Village, where it's been since the early incarnations of this character in the comic books.
That's one area which the comic books did show us, but what we wanted to do was give it a twist. So we tried to come up with a slightly odd mix of architectural styles. You can't quite put your finger on when this house was built.
This Sanctum Sanctorum is utter magic, no pun intended.
And they're also really going for the details. It's a free gift, right? We don't have to pretend that we're here. We are here.
It is extraordinary to work in environments like this because it's so vibrant that you feel that you're in an other space or dimension or world.
The New York Sanctum actually at one point tips on its end. So we had to have corridors built for some of the stunt sequences. One was a gimbal corridor with rubber walls so that Strange could be thrown from side to side without hurting himself.
Strange goes into these magical spaces. You're never quite sure when you open that door on a real set what you're going to step into. We went on several scouts to Hong Kong and wandered around and looked at architecture and looked at how people live on a commercial level as well. The big challenge was scale. I wanted Benedict to walk into it and go, oh, you know, oh my God.
Action!
Hong Kong, this incredible outdoor set on the side of one of the stages in Longcross, which is one of the biggest, most extraordinary sets I've ever seen. It's basically elements of the whole of Hong Kong, Kowloon, brought together in one street.
We sort of matched about, I don't know, 60 or 70 buildings and created this 600-foot set.
Basically, you could cook some food at those stores. You could go and have something mended in one of those metal workshops. You could have a card printed in the paper shop. They're all functional machines. It's just mind-blowing. Every set is a sublime work of art where you can just turn anywhere, act anywhere. It gives endless scope for creating the best possible version of those scenes on the page into a cinematic reality.
For someone like me, you couldn't be in a better situation because you can explore so many different worlds, even within one film.
Every single set is a reminder of how big a universe you're part of, how big a franchise you're part of, and it's utterly inspiring.
The first time I read the script, I went, oh my God, how are we going to do this? Because it goes to all the far reaches of the world. But then, as a group of filmmakers, we've all been down the road before, and you start taking it and dividing it into its little pieces and figuring out, okay, how are we going to do New York? How are we going to go to Kathmandu?
We are in some pretty incredible locations that not only has Marvel never shot in before, but a lot of movies haven't shot in before.
You see things on location that you didn't imagine and that spark new ideas.
The Holy Tours, that one will get a cleaner POV shot.
Scott's mission, I think, was to give as much real-world live action as possible, so that then everything that's so fantastical about this story can have a basis in reality.
Kathmandu in Nepal is this amazing, beautiful, vibrant, chaotic city of 2 million people nestled amongst the Himalayas. And we went there and we found this incredibly big city, jam-packed with people and noise and life.
We scouted Kathmandu in the fall of 2014, and shortly thereafter, there was a cataclysmic earthquake. And we had fallen in love with the city and the people, and there was a real concern, would it be safe for us to go there? We felt it was the right thing to do. And the people there opened their hearts and their homes and their businesses to us.
Hit it. How to play singing balls. You don't hit it like that. What you have to do is...
It's amazing how film came out.
After visiting Kathmandu, I told the production designer, I want windows everywhere. I want to be seeing out into the city all the time, you know, so the presence of the actual city itself are always visible, because the flavor of it is unlike any other place.
And action!
We started shooting in Nepal, and so it was great to get a sense of the reality of that place, and good for my character, Mordo, to connect with the sense of spirituality that you find in places like that.
There's no place on the planet like Kathmandu. You know, it is a city with virtually no Western influence. It is so deeply mystical and religious in the most peaceful, beautiful, colorful way.
We filmed on what's called the Monkey Temple, which is right up on this hill. And side by side, you have Hindu shrines with this huge Buddhist stupa with prayer wheels and Tibetan prayer flags.
It's like going back to school again. It's like going the best field trip of your life making these movies, because you end up at the Monkey Temple in Kathmandu.
It's been kind of a wild day. This is still very much a working temple. We're very much throwing ourselves in the real Kathmandu with all the citizens hustling and bustling around us, and having to work our way through all that, which is a challenge, but also gives you so much in camera as you get the real sights and sounds and excitement of the city.
And for me to be having my first outing as this man who's right at rock bottom, who's completely broken, looking for some answer in such a spiritual place was wonderful. And it made acting very easy.
Camertage.
So today we're actually throwing Benedict into the mix and carrying a camera around behind him, sort of covertly disguised as he mingles with the real population here.
We were filming outside, in and amongst the Nepalese people and monasteries, and meeting monks.
Being able to wander around the streets of Nepal was fantastic.
We had crowds come out on the street there who were adoring crowds. When they saw Benedict, they went nuts.
You guys see Benedict? Even the Nepalese recognize him here, even with a long beard.
By the third and fourth day, it was ridiculous, but sort of extraordinary. But it's very flattering and very good fun. It was nice to say hello to a few fans as well.
And there's some shooting in New York, where the Sanctum Sanctorum exists.
It's fun to take a surgeon who is used to being in the penthouses on Fifth Avenue into Bleecker Street and into Brownstone on the outside. Inside, of course, it is somewhat of a nexus between many different realities.
In the Marvel universe, New York is very important. We've had movies set in New York before, like if you look at Captain America and the Avengers. But Doctor Strange may be right up there with any one of our other heroes when it comes to his identity being with New York.
We happened to be shooting right outside a comic book shop. And I said, Benedict, you should pop in there. And he said, I shouldn't I?
Everyone looking at me and...
Yeah, I absolutely need a picture of this.
I'm sorry.
This is great.
And I filmed them on my phone walking into the comic book shop and saying hi to the guys that worked there. It was amazing.
Okay.
So to meet you. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Thank you.
Nice to meet you. See you guys.
We love the idea of really shooting New York for New York, because you can't fake that anywhere else.
And that is another icing on the cake, right? I mean, if you're in this business, you have to film at least once in New York. And this is mine.
Cut there.
That's how you do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a picture wrap on Benedict Cumberbatch.
He's a New Yorker. Doctor Strange is a New Yorker, and we're definitely going to make that a big part of his journey.
The fight directors have done an extraordinary job.
Action.
You want to do something that's never been done before, so you want to make it original.
The preparation on this film has been immense because it's a certain fighting style they invented for the film.
Put your weight on your right? And then when you do the left hand, almost lunge out a little bit.
What you're seeing is kind of a blend of 3 or 4 martial arts put together. So some people might look at it and go, oh, that's Kung Fu. Oh, that's Silat. Oh, that's Filipino martial arts. We're trying to make it something unique to the movie.
Give yourself a round of applause.
I run a martial arts school, so we're all teachers, so we can break it down into small movements so they understand the beats and the timing, and then gradually we've been putting all the moves together. We know the position, we know how to turn. We're gonna make sure again, knees, bum, off the floor.
We have Julian, our dance choreographer for the movie, because in the movie, it's a mystical martial arts academy. Julian's gonna bring some type of hand formations that create these lines of light.
I've been dancing for 10 years now and have a black belt in karate. So I think putting those two together made me uniquely qualified for making the gestures for the magic moments in the movie. I do hip hop and I do popping and tutting. And tutting is only arms and hands. And then it also breaks down even smaller to finger tutting, which you're doing boxes and shapes with just your fingers. And then it can get really funky where you're just kind of like doing alien fingers. Jojo is doing the fight scenes. I make the gestures to materialize these weapons and powers, and he gets to fit those things into the actual fight scenes.
Go! Look at that.
That looks like a little high on the feet. Okay, momentum.
3, 2, 1, action!
Sometimes emotion they get you. For that reason.
Benedict was shooting constantly and doing theater in the evening, so he squeezed the training in between.
Benedict threw himself into this role, and he went through months of physical training even while he was on stage doing Hamlet to learn how to fight and how to move. We've had to say, Benedict, maybe we should let the stuntman do that particular stunt. He has been game for everything.
You have to be incredibly fit. I mean, I started working out for this film, not just to fill the suit, so to speak, but also just to be able to take knocks, to be able to do multiple takes of fight scenes over 5 days.
Fight! Fight as if your life depended on it!
I've been whipped about 3 times with this sort of whip thing that Chiwetel and I had to play with in a fight training scene.
Yeah, it's a great moment in the film in terms of the relationship of Mordo and Strange, where he's introducing him to all of the different fighting methods that they can use. Doctor Strange is also sort of fighting back, and so finding his own feet and sense of himself in this world. They're still master and pupil.
Trust your teacher.
But it's the first time that there's a sort of equivalency about them. There's a kind of dance to it.
For me, there was this issue with the Ancient One, that the Ancient One is a complete mofo at doing all this stuff, but is super, super still and super serene while doing it. So that was quite a task. Because generally speaking, when you're slicing people to bits, you kind of want to show it in your face.
The style of the martial arts is very kung fu because they're like Shaolin monks, these characters. Although my character is described as a zealot, so he's a bit more bullish in the way he fights. A bit less graceful.
I've been hit in the face, I've been kicked in the stomach quite hard, I've been punched twice, I've tripped over the cape. That's not so super heroic, but very funny.
3, 2, 1, go.
And then there's also a lot of wire work in the film. And it becomes very exciting and just a lot of fun, really.
Stephen Broussard and Kevin Feige said I've done more wire work on this than any other film that they've worked on. I get flung through a wall or suspended by a wire over a drop and then smashed into an asteroid in another dimension, flung off the edge of a building that's changing shape, or knocked over a balcony or smashed through a cabinet. You can't really say you're a superhero unless you've actually experienced some of the physical trauma.
It was really fun. It's not every day you get to smash glass and be paid for it.
But yeah, it's all good fun and games, isn't it?
With Doctor Strange, we're crafting some really cool and unique visual ideas and really mind-trippy, out there sort of sequences that I think approach action in really cool new ways.
We're dealing with other dimensions. We're dealing with other possible realities. We're dealing with magic.
There's a lot of real-world live action in this film, but there's also the most extraordinary effects, and the importance of the environments and the action in those environments has never been richer. So I think it's a great cinematic ride.
In terms of visual effects, there's things that haven't been seen before.
The visuals are remarkable. We wanted to expand people's minds.
Open your eye. The film is not really so much about destruction. It's about creation. It's about bending things. It's not about breaking things.
Like, creativity on this film was pretty open. There was no, oh no, let's not even try it. It was like, let's try everything.
As soon as I saw the plans for what the visuals were going to be, I thought it was quite literally a different universe.
There are more interesting things that can be done with modern film technology. I think we can do more, you know, and that's part of the ambition of Doctor Strange.
The comics themselves are incredibly visually rich, and that immediately translates into a 21st century cinematic landscape because we have these extraordinary tools at our disposal.
In the comics, Steve Ditko is famous for his interpretation of this dark dimension. And what the entire production team has been tasked with doing is bringing that to life.
We try to be faithful to it, but bring something new to it, kind of put it into our world. And nowadays, we're in 21st century, so it's a different technology, but we try to be very faithful to these ideas.
I've got a selection of environments in 3D here, which I can modify and adjust the speed of and the color, and then an array of 3D cameras looking at them, each of which drives one of these outputs, which goes to the individual lighting panels, which light Benedict.
3, 2, 1, action. And now!
Marvel are always experimental as filmmakers. They're always taking technology right to the edge and beyond the edge, and they're inventing every day new technology to do things that a year ago they wouldn't have been able to do.
I see through you.
One of the staples of Doctor Strange's magical powers is the ability to astral project, which was another idea born of groovy 60s thinking, I'll meet you on the astral plane, man.
What did you just do to me?
I pushed your astral form out of your physical form.
What's in that tea? Psilocybin? LSD?
It's just tea. With a little honey.
You're exiting your body and you're viewing something from an alternate dimension. So that was a big moment for us to figure out how we're going to do that. It'll start off often at Marvel in the Viz Dev department, and they'll come up with concepts. Previs is essentially moving storyboards. You actually can now get into what the shots are supposed to be like, how dynamic the moves are. That then gets handed off to a facility who will then begin testing that with moving footage. We're testing today the astral push moments, and in those moments we're shifting into a high speed. So we're testing frame rates as well as camera speeds in order to do that.
The astral form is one of the simplest effects that we've done and one of the hardest, because you need to believe that in a way is the spirit that sort of comes out of the body. We all know what the body looks like, and we also know what a ghost looks like. And the idea was that we didn't want it to look like a ghost, and yet is ghostly.
The main thing was in the way they can move and interact with the environment. When they fly very fast through the room, they can go through the walls, but then cling to the walls. Things are moving when they hit them. So it's not really ghosts as we know them.
By far, my favorite scene in the movie is with the Ancient One and Doctor Strange in the balcony of the hospital, where she's watching that moment of lightning.
Look at me, stretching one moment out into 1,000, just so that I can watch the snow.
We wanted the light to change in the room when this moment happens, so that you could feel that you're in a different dimension, but you want it to stay connected. It's such a delicate balance.
Dormammu dwells in the dark dimension, beyond time.
Doctor Strange really did introduce a whole nother aspect of the Marvel comic universe, which was the aspect of other dimensions. And it's fascinating because since that time, dimensional theory has advanced so much. The notion that there are surrounding dimensions that we don't have the ability to perceive. And we all liked the idea of taking the science of that very seriously and using that as a way into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
The dark dimension. Dormammu is coming.
Setting up the stakes of believability that these dimensions exist and that they're dangerous, I think requires a certain seriousness as you approach it. That doesn't mean the movie's not fun, it just means the world is real, these people are dangerous.
We have a fight in the streets of Hong Kong where we have to create a feeling that time is either stopping, slicing, or reverting.
There was a lot of work put into this. The way we shot the sequences was pretty complex.
We have time going forward and backward and buildings coming up and down. So we have to go and look at the previews where we can actually understand exactly where we are at that moment.
The two departments, visual effects and the art department, they're coming together more and more these days.
There's a lot of visual effects, obviously, in all of this, but you'd be surprised how much we do in camera as well.
Let's roll. Rolling.
It's a very collaborative process.
I was really interested in making a movie where the visual effects were always used to do something new and were used to create scenes that were unexpected and not quite like anything we've seen before.
I'm such a kind of techno geek when it comes to filmmaking technology, and the visual effects team on this out there, they're from another planet.
The magic people behind the screen make this look like something we've never seen before.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
It's going to be a stunning visual effects fest.
When this opportunity came up, I thought, I want to do this movie. Because it wasn't a reboot of something, it was an original story, and we could kind of deliver something that was completely original on all fronts. My job is to interpret the story and to help you feel what the characters are feeling. So the only way I can write real music is to sort of connect to the movie and to be invested in some way. And I knew I would be on this film just by virtue of my connection to the character from years ago as a kid.
I told Michael that the movie was a bit darker than most Marvel movies. And that I wanted the score to reflect that, and that I wanted a sense of the mystical. Other than that, I wanted him to feel unhandcuffed. I wanted him to feel free to do what he wanted to do.
I had the main theme for Doctor Strange written almost immediately before going in for that first meeting.
He very quickly turned around with a theme that was amazing. We were all just amazed at how good it was, and I felt immediately like, well, that's it. It was just seemingly effortless for him.
Just as a general brass note, 45 through to 53, can you take it all down one dynamic, please?
I cannot lead another gifted student to power, only to lose him to the darkness.
You didn't lose me. I wanted the power to defeat my enemies. You gave me the power to defeat my demons and to live within the natural law.
We never lose our demons, Mordo. We only learn to live above them.
I think Scott and I have sort of been on the same page from day one about what we wanted with this thing, so I sort of pitched to him what I was thinking, and he brought to me what he was thinking, and it really all worked together.
There may be dark days ahead. Perhaps Kamataj could use a man like Strange.
We don't ever really talk about music, we talk about story and character. There are different themes for the different characters. Doctor Strange has a theme. The dark magic has a theme.
We will now receive the power to destroy the one who betrayed us.
There's the training theme. There's a semi-romantic theme.
This is insane.
Yeah. The Sanctum has its own theme. The first time Doctor Strange shows up in the Sanctum is pretty fun. You're starting to see little artifacts and different things that anyone who's a fan of the Doctor Strange comics will recognize this and that. I was able to find different instruments that you normally don't use in films, and for me on this one it was really going to be centered around an electric sitar and a harpsichord. They were going to be sort of the heart of the score in a way, and everything would be built around that. We have almost 100 people here, everyone in the same room to record at the same time. Some people like to record just, say, the string section and then on another day record the brass, and they divide everything up. But for me, I really love the sound of a full orchestra with all of the sound waves bouncing off each other.
Alpha, take one. I camera mark.
Take camera. Action.
How long have you been at Kamatage, Mr. Doctor? Mr. Doctor?
It's strange.
Maybe. Who am I to judge?
The Marvel Universe belongs to the fans. And the lucky thing is, this film is being made by fans. And that is so cool. We're all in it together.
Let's roll sound. Action!
Cut. Beautiful.
When it comes to the tone of Marvel movies, they all stand on their own and they all feel distinct. And that's certainly the case with Doctor Strange.
We wanted to make a mind trip action film that was filled with bizarre and wild things that we just haven't seen before. Every set piece is an attempt to give audiences adrenaline-ridden sequences that are not predictable.
This is so surreal. I can't believe I get to do this for a living. It's just so much fun.
There's really no limits. It's parallel universes and time travel and unlocking a whole new part of the brain. And audiences are always ready to take that ride.
It's about doglegging into another world. It's about creativity, and it's about the mind.
Doctor Strange is an attempt to use magic in a way that hasn't been used in a movie before. No matter what anyone ever says about the movie, we're not going to be criticized for our lack of ambition. That was awesome, you guys. This is everything it's supposed to be.
So Earth has wizards now, huh?
T?
When it comes to our tags, we don't often script them out or necessarily know when the film starts shooting what the tags are going to be.
I don't drink tea.
What do you drink?
Not tea.
And late into the shooting of Strange, the Thor Ragnarok script was coming together. And as we were reading it, we said this scene could be hilarious. Wouldn't it be funny to answer the question right away, what's it going to be like when Doctor Strange enters the Marvel Universe?
So I keep a watch list of individuals and beings from other realms that may be a threat to this world. Your adopted brother, Loki, is one of those beings.
It's a worthy inclusion.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they had met before, but they got along great, and I think people are starting to learn this about Chris, and they'll soon hopefully know about Benedict Cumberbatch. They are both hilarious. They both have the best comedic timing, especially for guys known as dramatic actors and as action stars, some of the funniest people you'll ever meet. And I think they really enjoyed the opportunity to just improv a bit and play with what is kind of a little bit of a lighter tone than the movie that preceded it.
So, why bring him here?
We're looking for my father.
As you look forward where we can go from here in Doctor Strange, it'd be interesting to see him serve that role, to see him advise Avengers and all the characters you know here on Earth about the things they don't even know and about the dangers yet to come.
So if you found Odin, you'd all return promptly to Asgard?
Yes, probably. I have much work to do elsewhere.
Oh, good. Allow me to help.
And cut.